Alright, so, hey guys, my name is Hap and this is the AMX 31. That's kind of a mouthful, so let's shorten that to the AMX 30 or 30 Pro, though, better than saying the 1ER part way too many times. Let me be clear on this. I think this is a fantastic tank. It has all that I want from a medium tank, decent firepower with good dynamics, and armor that can sometimes block a crucial shot. But it's not for everyone, and I'll attempt to make the reason for that clear, so let's start off with the gun. The gun is pretty good for medium standards. At this tier you can get some properly powerful guns like the downright angelic L7 on the Centurion and the 12.8 on the Jagd Tiger. This is a middle of the pack gun. It isn't special in any way except the 10 degrees of gun depression that the tank has. I must admit, without that gun depression, the tank wouldn't feel right because it really relies on having as little of the tank visible. Other than that, the gun is really not interesting. 310 Alpha with 234 AP pen and a shockingly low 263 APCR. See, there is also one other thing. With the gunner armor, your reload is around the 6.6 second mark, which is pretty impressive. Your pen will be bad, however, and you'll have to rely a lot on moving around to hit tanks in their sides. Going against an E100 from the front really is a death sentence. Not because you'll die very quickly, you'll struggle to pen it anyway, and then you're just gonna get mauled. With the calibrated shells, the story does change a little. Your penetration still isn't great, mind you, but it's not unusable. 244 on AP, 276 on APCR, and 55 on your HE. Yeah, the APCR still isn't good enough for a lot of tier 10 tanks that you're gonna fight, and this is the main reason why I consider this tank to be not for everyone. You're gonna have to know plenty of weak points with this tank, and map knowledge is especially important as well. Oh yeah, and with calibrated shells you still have a respectable 7.15 seconds of reload time. Accuracy is about middle of the pack as well, but it will work just fine. The armor on the 30 Pro though is funky, not because it's insane or anything, but on paper it doesn't sound strong at all. 150mm on the turret front? That's not gonna bounce a lot. That's what I thought as well, but you'd be surprised. The only proper weak point on the turret is the relatively small cupola, and you'd be surprised how many people just don't aim there. Other areas of the turret can be penned, but it's just that getting hit there is exceedingly rare, at least from my experience. You also have spaced armor on the sides since a few patches back, and all I gotta say is, why? It doesn't cover the whole side, you can still pen the stretched back part just fine, but I don't think the tank ever needed that armor added. The chances of getting hit with HE on the sides just aren't high unless you're playing against someone who knows what to do. Being honest, that's as rare nowadays as going outside. The whole armor is just weak, just don't expect any bounces from it. A really bouncy medium tank is still the T-54, and if you want a medium like that, definitely go for it. The AMX doesn't rely on the armor, it relies on its mobility and its dynamics. Speaking of which, let's talk about those for a bit. I usually don't talk about the mobility of tanks a lot, mainly because it's a boring topic and there is not a lot to talk about, but the AMX is a little different. The mobility on this thing is outstanding. 60 kilometers forwards and 23 backwards is really impressive, and believe me, the tank really does get there. It's fast in a good way, it never loses control, and relies on its great mobility to get to places early and to get out of trouble quick. And trust me, you'll need to get out of trouble quick since this thing changes places like I change my socks once every 2 minutes. Traverse numbers are also pretty good, almost 70 degrees. Terrain resistance is very impressive at 0.9, 1.1 and 1.5. So how do I run the tank? Well, Calibrated shells are a good start. I just don't think I'm good at aiming at weak spots, and I have to use Pramo pretty often. Then the improved modules and improved optics. After that, the gun length drive, improved assembly, and the engine accelerator. Then the vertical stabilizer, and if I had any other slots, I'd go for the toolbox and probably high-end consumables to take advantage of the adrenaline. So, some pros and cons, I suppose. The pros: decent hold down capability, decent gun, great mobility, and great gun depression. The cons are poor hull armor, bad premium penetration, and relatively low alpha. Only some people may actually consider that a problem. I personally don't really care about it. So, what is my verdict on this tank? If you want a good tier 9 medium that tests your capabilities as a medium tank driver, this is easily one of the best choices. But if you're not very confident in your skill as a medium tank driver, I would recommend to hold off on it. Don't get me wrong, it's not that you'd do bad in it, but some points would just be frustrating to get past. The penetration is the most prevalent one, and if you can't get past that problem, you're gonna have real problems enjoying this tank. I'm not saying that you'd be bad in it, I am not saying that, I'm just saying that I don't want you to regret purchasing this thing whenever it comes in the store. So with that out of the way, time for 2 replays, one from yours truly and one from you guys. So without further ado, let's see those. Alright, so the first replay is from a few days back with Gravy, also in the AMX 30 prototype. I'm sorry if you hear a bit of fan noise in the background, but I am not gonna edit this in post because it takes a very long time to get it just right. Anyways, we are on Hellas, top tier, and everything seems to be fine and dandy. This is a relatively fast battle, but I believe that if you look at me and how Gravy plays, you should be able to draw some parallels between our playstyle, and maybe you should be able to notice just what I try to do in the AMX. Now, one of the main things that you could probably notice is that I try to be a hull down as often as I can, because the hull is really weak and it has a lot of modules put into it. You could be set on fire, you could lose your ammo rack, anything can happen in that thing. You can already see the defender giving me a bit of trouble. Yeah, you can already see that. It seems that I have overexposed myself, and you can see that the driver's viewport was hit instead. It isn't hard at all to bend the front of this thing. So I would genuinely advise that you be very, very careful and considerate of your positioning in this tank. If you position yourself wrong, you're immediately gonna know, because half of your HP is gonna disappear. But if you do it right, you can get some good bounces and get some good damage racked in. Like that spot. That spot was pretty alright against an ISU 152. And here we have a very cheeky shot. Excellent. Now, against this Defender Mark 1, there is nothing this guy can basically do at this point, so that's a 388 hit. Nice. And Gravy is coming in. Now, I absolutely like the tank, but I feel that I should actually play it more, because I don't think that I have actually hit above 100 battles in it. I really should, but I am not really tempted to play tier 9 right now, since I grinded a lot of tier 9 tanks recently and I need a breather from that tier, so I hope that I am gonna get at least that. So next up we are moving up to see if I can spot any cheeky tanks here. I was hoping to spot the enemy KV-4, but that didn't really happen, and as such I am going to help Gravy with the IS-8 before he does anything serious to him, like you have seen there. You can see that the KV-4 is stock, but he can still pose a pretty big threat to us, so we are gonna get rid of that guy as soon as possible. I have completely wasted a shot there, my bad, but what can I do? And now we are up against the KV-4. And I have only tracked him. You can see that even with the AMX it's like 244 pennies and calibrated, my firepower isn't that impressive, so yeah, you really gotta be aiming for weak spots even on some tier 8 tanks. It's a thing that you gotta get used to. Ooh, the fans are ramping up, sorry about that. But next up, the Actiger 88, and this is one of the only tier 8s that I would actually consider to be a massive threat to an AMX, especially if you approach him like this. Don't do this. Don't do this. I only did this because it was like the last tank left on the enemy team. Absolutely avoid doing that, because the Actiger will just absolutely tear you apart, and there is nothing you can do about that. Flank him around, use hold down positions, do all of that jazz, and you're gonna be perfectly fine in this tank. So 3729 damage isn't exactly a very big battle, but I still made around 100k credits and I got a second class out of it regardless. Gravy got a second class himself as well, so you know, that's all fine and dandy. Anyways, that was the first battle, and in the second battle we are gonna see Nab in his AMX 30. Alright, so the second battle is with Nab on Mayan Ruins against a bunch of tier 10s. Now I am gonna spoil it immediately, this is the feat. However, you can also see a few slight mistakes that Nab did that could have possibly changed the outcome of the battle, although looking at his team, I do not believe that there is anything he could have done. So Nab immediately goes to C as suggested by a lot of his teammates, and I would go to C as well. It makes perfect sense. You can go hold down in there, and you can quickly move around and immediately run away if some trouble pops up. Now you can see the shot on Leopard he takes, and he immediately ducks down. He's fighting tier 10s. There is no need to stay still there. Immediately hide after you fire your shot, because tier 10s can actually pen through the front of your turret and basically most of your tank. It is genuinely recommended by me. And now Nab got himself stuck on a piece of rubble, and that's the first mistake he made. Immediately lost 300 health, but in exchange he got a shot on the T95E6. I don't think he will get another shot right now, but he has an opportunity for the standard and misses that one, which is a shame. Now, they are already almost down one tank, and he has taken another shot from the chieftain, and that one was completely unwarranted. So, you know, anything's possible, I suppose. And now Nab's only solution is to run away, and that's where he gets hit a third time, and he's already 1000 HP down in a minute and 20. If he had a bit more health, there is the possibility that he could have flexed around and killed one more tank at the end, but hey, no use crying over spilt milk, it was still a pretty decent battle. Now, Nab seems to be trying to get rid of the standard, and I don't think he succeeds in that. There are two of them. Sorry, I'm a bit off course. I haven't exactly slept well, but he gets a very, very cheeky shot in a chieftain, and that one's important. As you can see, we are already 2 tanks down, and Nab has a lot to go through. And the sooner he can get rid of the chieftain, the better, and the E75 does immediately get him. Now, that's a completely... I wouldn't have taken that shot, actually. I would have still stayed at the back and probably have waited for the waffle to pop up, because now Nab is already critically low on health, and that is how he's gonna stay for the rest of the battle, really. Now, the T-22 medium is also down, and that's 3 tanks down for the count, but Nab is on 3k. There's still a lot he can do before they take him down as well, and he's already well beyond that part. And... well, let's take a quick breather from the commentating, shall we? So, would I recommend the tank? Well, absolutely. Why not? If you like your medium tank playstyle and you want a bit of a challenge, this is the tank to go for. Personally, I absolutely love it. There's some people that hate it, but I perfectly understand them. This is not an easy tank to master. I am still struggling with it every now and then. However, it seems that the Nab is clearly well versed in the tank, even though he made quite a few mistakes in this battle, because he's immediately going for the Leopard 1. Let's take down the weaker tanks first that are an actual threat, and he can actually get in a few more kills before he goes down. That is the Leopard 1, an excellent shot. And now the next guy seems to be the bad chat, so let's take down that guy as well. Let us go, and it seems he's got himself a bit stuck. Excellent snapshot, not even aimed, and now there's the waffle, and he's alone against 4 tanks. So how many can he take down before he truly goes down for the count? Well, one more, I can tell you that. Sadly it's not the E6, but Here we go, at least the standard's down. And Nab is down for the count, which is truly a shame. So, Nab has dealt over 4,200 damage, and it was actually a very nice battle to watch, because you can actually learn from Nab's mistakes and try to understand them yourself, try to avoid them in the future. Nab did a fantastic job given the situation that he was given. However, his team just couldn't quite make it. However, he still killed 4 tanks, got himself a pretty impressive amount of damage, and got himself, you know, the levels medal. Nice. The rest of his team did not do too good, although the enemy T95E6 did pretty well. Anyways, that is it from me. My name is Hab. If you somehow like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think of the new mic, how should I position myself in it, how do I sound in it, should I make any changes to it, and so on and so forth. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Bye bye.